Hello everyone. Today is 24th of March. Now it's 9 o'clock in the evening Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is traditional Sunday live stream. Thank you all for your attention, for participating in this stream, and of course many thanks to all the members of our community who will join later on, or who will watch this live stream in a recording. And as always, if I may, I will go through some news that I prepared, short news summary, and after that I will monitor chat, and if I see questions that I can answer or topics that I may have opinion on, I will get engaged and we can have some informal conversation, informal chat. So let's do it. First of all, short summary, and well, as many of you, all of you know, today Russia is holding day of mourning for the victims of Friday's terrorist attack in Crocus City Hall. Tragedy which took lives of 137 people. Today, emergency services shared with public additional information. Previously, it was known about 133 deaths, and unfortunately, number is rising. And more than 100 people are under medical attention. Some of them are in serious conditions, and of course medics are doing everything they can to save lives of the people. Of course, Russian society, Russian government is receiving condolences from all around the world. Public is very supportive worldwide, which is quite understandable in this tragic times. Society, world community should be united against terror and should support each other. And Lenta.ru and many other media outlets and also Telegram channels reported today that, of course, before investigative committee and FSB will share with public final conclusions of the investigation, which will take time, of course. Experts are sharing their opinion on this horrible terrorist attack, and for example, Lenta.ru shared information, and many other channels also, that maybe Ukraine's embassy in Tajikistan was involved in this operation, in recruiting of these terrorists. And for example, in this particular case, retired colonel of the secret services, Bakhtiar Rakhmonov, stated that he believes that Ukraine's embassy in Tajikistan was directly involved in preparations of this in this terrorist attack. Most likely, according to him, Ukraine's embassy staff recruited at least one or several terrorists who then created this group and conducted this terrorist attack. And he shares information with public that several weeks ago in Tajikistan, Ukrainian embassy started active campaign in social media, including on Telegram, by sharing information how people can join Ukraine's foreign legion. So recruiting process was quite open, and this colonel thinks that maybe he's quite sure about it, that Ukraine's embassy was involved in this terrorist attack directly by recruiting these terrorists. Of course, there will be so many speculations nowadays. We all see that Western media outlets, Western ruling elites are trying to somehow defend Kiev regime and blaming ISIS straight away. It was several hours after terrorist attack took place, and in some states in the collective West already statements were made that it was IS terrorist group. And later on one of the that terrorist group's channels, some videos appear. It was kind of it seemed like it was orchestrated. I mean, someone is trying very hard to persuade society that it was IS, and it has nothing to do with the Kiev regime, while here in Russia almost nobody believes in that. Majority of society, majority of experts, as at least what I see on the comments and the statements, believes that it was Kiev regime behind this terrorist attack, and there are too many indicators that that's the case, and I will go through those indicators also. But it is obvious that Western ruling elites, for whatever reason, and quite understand, we can understand why they are trying to shield Kiev regime. They are trying to shift blame on IS alone, while investigation have not yet been finished yet, and there was no official statements from Russian side. So how should they know? How they know? Unfortunately, journalism is non-existent in the West. All the independent journalists are in the internet, and unfortunately, officials in the West not answering questions of real journalists. And when it comes to mainstream media, of course, they're not going to challenge authorities. No way. Otherwise, I mean, today, one of the most popular questions on internet, probably you also come up, you also see this question, is that Western ruling elites, Western state institutions, investigative state institutions, including and secret services, for so many months were unable to investigate Nord Stream sabotage or Nord Stream pipelines, or act of international terrorism on Nord Stream pipelines, and they were able in just about a few hours time to investigate and come up with the final conclusions when it comes to this attack on Crocus City Hall. It does not make any sense, really. And as I said, by the way, I don't think for Moscow, for Russian society, means anything what Western ruling elites are believing in, or Western media. Probably you will see first page of Bild today, when they, with the capital letters, are blaming IS for this terrorist attack. No single word about possible involvement of Kiev regime. And same goes for all the media outlets. And when it comes to indicators, why it's Kiev regime and why so many people believing this. So let's go through some of them. For example, since the beginning of special military operation, and many of you probably already informed about these methods that Kiev regime secret services are using to conduct terrorist activity on Russian soil. So what they do, Ukraine's main intelligence directorate of defense ministry, which is led by Kirill Budanov, or what SBU, by the way, Ukraine's state security service. What they do is they are actively using social platforms. They are actively using social platforms. They're trying to recruit people through social platforms. And one of those terrorists, during the when that terrorist was detained, he was asked several questions, and he said that basically he acknowledged that he was basically recruited through the social platform, and he was promised some 500,000 rubles. He received half of this money, and the rest of it probably they were promised that they will receive after they will conduct this terrorist operation. And that's what Ukrainian secret services are doing. That's their method. They are recruiting people through social social media, through Telegram, through that WhatsApp, and that kind of platforms. Also, by the way, since when IS terrorists are care that much about money when they are conducting basically suicidal operation? All they care, probably because they're supposed to be religious fundamentalists, is to go to heaven, to be killed in action. As crazy as it sounds, that's what they do. They usually have suicide bullets on them, not to be captured, and usually they are not running away from the areas where they are conducting terrorist attack. But these ones were all about money. How can you call humans those terrorists? These ones were all about money, and they were doing whatever they could to escape. And they were only 100 kilometers away from Ukrainian border. That's also another indicator. And I can go on and on. But yet again, whatever we're gonna talk about now, whatever scenario, it will still be speculation, because of course it's better to wait conclusions of investigative committee, what they will say, and investigation will take probably another week or two, I don't know, but in fairly short time we will have final answers, and then according to results of investigation, Moscow will start acting based on that. Let's continue with the news, and dear friends, you can share your take on this topic in the comment section. I see discussion already begun on this matter. Many of you are sharing opinions. RIA Novosti is reporting that today over the Belgorod region, 22 Ukrainian RM-70 Vampire missiles were shot down. This is Czech-made MLRS system that actively used by Kyiv regime to shell Belgorod region and Belgorod city itself. Unfortunately, there was casualties today also among civilians as a result of these strikes. And this is, by the way, indiscriminate strikes. Many of you, I believe, see on my Telegram channel videos when Ukrainian forces are shelling central parts of Belgorod. I mean, civilian residential areas, and there are videos, by the way. You can clearly see that there is no military installations there, no nothing in that regard. It's clearly civilian residential area, but Kyiv regime don't care. They just simply don't care. They want to kill as many civilians as possible. Lentaru is reporting that as a retaliatory strike, retaliatory measure, Russian armed forces destroyed 2 Ukrainian Su-24. This is Lentaru's report, by the way. 2 Ukrainian Su-24 fighter bombers or frontline bombers that were used by Kyiv regime yesterday during the strikes, missile strikes on Crimean Peninsula, and these 2 Su-24s, Ukrainian Su-24s, were destroyed on Ukrainian airfield Martinovka, which is in Nikolaev region. Most likely, once those bombers launched missiles, Scalp missiles, French-made Scalp cruise missiles, possibly also British-made Storm Shadow missiles, they landed on this airfield, Martinovka, in Nikolaev region to get refueled and then to go back to their permanent location, permanent base in western Ukraine, or wherever they are hiding. And the Russian side was quite quick to conduct strikes on that airfield, and 2 bombers, according to reports from local underground or local partisans, by the way, Russian partisans in the area, 2 Su-24 bombers of Ukrainian Air Force were destroyed. And of course, many of you know that during the previous night, Russian armed forces conducted quite a large-scale missile and drone strikes on Ukrainian military and logistics infrastructure. in direction of many regions, and the main direction was, as I understand, Sumy region, western Ukraine, where energo facilities were targeted, also airfield, military airfield, and the training ground. So maybe for tomorrow we will learn some more information about results of that of those strikes, but because Russian armed forces used I believe all the targets were destroyed, because Kiev regime has no means to intercept. They barely can intercept low-speed Russian cruise missiles. And when it comes to hypersonic missiles, they can do nothing about it. Or even supersonic missiles, by the way. Ukraine's air defense systems really struggling with this, especially now, by the way, when Russian armed forces destroy so many air defense systems of Kiev regime. Interfax is reporting that, well, Poland made a statement that for several seconds, for 39 seconds to be more precise, one of the Russian missiles crossed Polish airspace and then went back to western Ukraine. And therefore, even though Polish Air Force was deployed, they did not take any actions. And I saw on one of the channels today that one of the Polish officers were saying that if they had any indicator that this missile was targeting anything in Poland, then they will take action against it. This guy was bragging about they're gonna do this and they're gonna do that. I don't think they were capable to do anything really. But of course, the Russian side has no intention to strike Poland, at least without being provoked. So therefore, this missile maybe cross-border between western Ukraine, between Ukraine and Poland, maybe not. Maybe Polish side was mistaken, who knows. But in any case, of course, Russian side was targeting military and logistical infrastructure in western Ukraine, not in Poland. Also, RT is reporting that, according to Russian ambassador in US, Washington destroyed anti-terrorism cooperation with Moscow, which is a very sad development, really. So US has dismantled its counter-terrorism cooperation with Moscow. Russian ambassador in Washington, D.C., Anatoly Antonov, has claimed. The diplomat added that joint work in this field had been among the key aspects of the partnership between the two nations, but, well, it's not like that anymore. And it's not just not like that, but when it comes to recent terrorist attack on Crocus City Hall, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we will learn sometime in the future that CIA was directly involved in this terrorist attack. I would not be surprised at all, because US Biden's administration already conducted act of international terrorism by destroying Nord Stream pipelines. So at this point, I don't think anybody in this world will be surprised to learn about terrorist activity of CIA or Biden's administration. It's just a reality that as it is on the ground. Which is very unfortunate, of course, which is very unfortunate and very dangerous. But yet again, I mean, what you're gonna do? It's Biden's administration and their secret services that are acting as a terrorist organizations for many, many years, by the way. And we all know that all those terrorist organizations that were operating in the Middle East against Iraq, against Syria, they were created by whom? By CIA in general, mainly, with participation of secret services of some other countries, including United Kingdom, of course. So, and this is historical fact, by the way. This is not conspiracy theory. This is historical fact. Let's take Al-Qaeda, by the way. Who created Al-Qaeda? Of course, Al-Qaeda was created with by active participation of CIA. Brzezinski was very active to deliver weapon systems to Afghanistan during the Soviet military operation there. And And that's how all that story with Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda was created in Afghanistan. And then everybody knows what happened, isn't it? It didn't work out well for US. Same goes for ISIL, IS. Remember first leaders of IS, who those people were? People that used to be in jail, in US military jail. US operatives, US Secret Services operatives, by the way. US created IS. They created it. US Secret Services. And then, of course, client states, Secret Services or client states also get involved. And then almost entire Middle East get destroyed because of this criminal activity of CIA in the first place and US administration. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that Foreign Minister of Hungary once again reminds world community, Peter Szijjártó, that deployment of NATO troops into Ukraine may cause direct confrontation between Russia and NATO, and therefore third world war. And he is correct. He is correct. If and when NATO troops will be, I have no doubts that NATO troops will be deployed into Ukraine, into modern Ukraine. I have no doubts even for a second that this will happen. Only question I have is where those NATO troops will be deployed. In the Western Ukraine alone, and in that case, that's one story. Or will NATO troops move eastwards towards Kiev, then towards, northern side of Ukraine, Sumy region, Chernigov region, towards Kharkov region, for example, in the east, or maybe towards south, towards Odessa region. In that case, if NATO troops would not stay in the Western Ukraine alone and will move eastwards, northwards, and towards south in Odessa, that's a whole different story. And in that case, Russian side already was very clear that NATO troops on the ground will be perceived as a priority target. Not just a target, but priority target. And they will be destroyed, of course. And then we will see how NATO will respond on destruction of hundreds and possibly thousands of its troops. And then we will see how Russia will respond on NATO's response. And eventually, with this tit for tat exchanges, we may end up in a full-scale nuclear exchange. I hope it will not happen. And if you ask me, in my personal opinion, I will still say that chances that we will end up in full-scale nuclear exchange is extremely low. I don't think Russia and NATO will end up in a war, but in a full-scale war. NATO is already waging war against Russia, but this is proxy war, a little different, or significantly different. But when it comes to full-scale confrontation, I don't think it will happen, but but still I believe that some local-scale skirmishes will most likely take place, but local-scale skirmishes which will not provoke full-scale nuclear exchange. That's my take on the picture right now. And I don't want to be mistaken, by the way. I know many experts are saying that if NATO will get involved, if NATO will deploy its troops into Ukraine, then that's almost guaranteed nuclear exchange between the sides and Third World War. And that's, of course, worst case scenario. So I don't think any of us wants that to happen. So maybe I am over optimistic, but still, I think in the end, some adequate people in the leadership of Western Secret Services, there must be some adequate people in Secret Services of the West, adequate people in the Western militaries will prevail, and they will stop their crazy politicians from provoking direct war, full-scale war with Russia. That's my hope. I don't know. Although, of course, we should be prepared for anything. If it's even possible to get prepared for nuclear war, by the way, it's where you're gonna hide. I mean, what you're gonna do? It's hard to even imagine what might happen if Russia and NATO will go head to head with a full-scale war, man. It's gonna be end of everything, really, and let's hope that will never happen. And I am optimistic, as I said. I don't think there is a really high chance that we will end up in full-scale confrontation. No. And by the way, RT is reporting that this is a kind of continuation of the topic that Dmitry Trenin, a research professor at the High School of Economics and the lead research fellow at the Institute of World Economy and International Relations, published article on RT. Quite interesting article. I will not read this in entirety, but key point in this article is that maybe Russia needs to reevaluate its current nuclear deterrence strategy to make sure that Western ruling elites really understand what might happen if they will cross red lines that cannot be crossed, and it may make sense. I mean, maybe professor is correct, and maybe Moscow really needs to reevaluate and somewhat modernize its nuclear deterrence strategy. Who knows? Maybe some changes need to be done in the doctrine, when and how Russia will use its nukes. That may be kind of refreshing to send clear and strong message to the Western ruling elites that they really are playing with the nuclear fire. There is no other way to put it. So who knows? Maybe this will happen. Maybe exactly this will happen. Who knows? RIA Novosti is also reporting that today Putin commented, today by the way is 25th year passed since this criminal bombardment of Serbia by NATO. If you ask people in the West, majority probably will say that NATO is defensive organization and it never attacked nobody, but in reality it's NATO is a very different beast, and Yugoslavia and Serbia, by the way, Serbian people know this better than anybody. 25 years ago, NATO started its criminal, unauthorized military campaign against Serbia, during the which almost 2,000 civilians were killed, and more civilians, by the way, even more than two. I read today some articles, there was about 2,000, but in RIA Novosti's report, it's 2,500, so more than 2,000, 2,500 civilians were killed, and many more civilians, by the way, died after this military operation of NATO, because Western forces were using munition with depleted uranium, and we all know how poisonous that depleted uranium is, because it was used in mass scale in Iraq, and cases of cancer in Iraq is increased unimaginably, and many diseases in Iraq. And unfortunately, Serbia also become a target of these barbaric methods of war of the NATO, and many people die after the strikes ended. And it was mainly air strikes, by the way. NATO forces, those cowards, by the way, they were too afraid to fight Serbians on the ground, because they are cowards. They were bombing Serbia. That's all they did. Cowards, man. And unfortunately, Russia was too weak at the time. It was Yeltsin during those times, president of Russian Federation. Russia was very weak. It could not defend Serbia, by the way. This is it hurts, by the way. so many years past, it hurts that Russia couldn't defend Serbia, man. If I was president of Russian Federation, I will authorize use of nukes. I will send a message to NATO member states that even single bullet will fly towards Serbia, I'm nuking all of you. That's what I will do, by the way, because Serbians are our brothers, and that would be my reaction. But I was not president there then, and I'm never gonna be president. So I mean, Western ruling elites, they are lucky. They are somewhat lucky that not someone like me is a president of Russia. But well, today President of Russian Federation Vladimir Putin commented on this day and said that it was you know what, let me translate entirely. Let me translate entirely his few of the sentences from his statement. So, bombing of Belgrade cannot cause anything but condemnation, said Russian President Vladimir Putin. It's a huge tragedy. What the West did was completely unacceptable. Without any resolution of the UN Security Council, they directly began military operation, a war in fact in the center of the Europe, and with the bombing of the capital of this country, Belgrade. Well, what can we say here? Nothing except for condemnation, he said in Andrei Kondrashev's film Belgrade, shown on the Russia 1 TV channel. So yes, Russia was too weak at the time, by the way. Yeltsin was Russian president. Very, I mean, I don't say nothing about Yeltsin, but he was not really a strong president, or not really best president that Russia might have. But you cannot change anything, and unfortunately, Serbia ended up being alone against this juggernaut, this this machine of destruction that NATO is, and rest of it is history. You know, as I said, by the way, it hurts, man. It until now, because I have no words, man. Serbia alone was against entire NATO, man. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Israel announces a major land grab in the West Bank. The Israeli government has designed nearly 2,000 acres in the West Bank as a state-owned land, in a move described by rights groups as the biggest land grab on occupied Palestinian territories in decades. And this is West Bank, by the way. This is not yet Gaza Strip. This is West Bank, which is almost like it's completely occupied, and almost the half of the West Bank now it's Israeli settlements that, according to UN, are illegal there. But I guess more settlements will be built after this decision, and I'm afraid if Netanyahu's government is not stopped, then Palestinians will be forced out from Gaza Strip, and most likely Gaza territory will be reintegrated into Israel. And maybe eventually very same will happen with the West Bank. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's also a tragedy what is happening in the Middle East, and it seems like world community can do nothing. I mean, it's why we need so many organizations, UN and this and that, if world community cannot do anything. I don't know. So on the map, by the way, this is the West Bank here, which is bordering, of course, Egypt. And this is Gaza Strip, sorry. This is Gaza Strip here. And West Bank is this area, by the way, which is bordering Israel, Jordan, and Golan Heights, I believe. But yet again, the West Bank is also occupied. West Bank is also occupied. And according to this report, some 2,000 acres of the land will be designated as a state-owned land. TASS News Agency is reporting that a few hours ago, very tragic and strange situation happened in Yerevan, in Armenia. 3 armed individuals entered one of the police stations and by demanding, one of them demanded Pashinyan to step down, and then grenade was thrown in, and as a result of explosion of that grenade, 2 of those 3 people who entered the police station were wounded, and the third one eventually was arrested by police special forces that arrived on the scene. Very strange situation. No one was killed, so at least no one was killed. That's good, but very strange situation, as I said, and it seems like Armenian society is losing calm. Is it right word? Some parts of Armenian society are losing calm, losing hope and nerves, and maybe this today's events in Yerevan is indicator of that. And if that's the case, then probably we will see some more chaotic events in Armenia to take place in upcoming months. It is possible. And well, this is it when it comes to short summary. Hopefully you will find this segment of short news summary somewhat interesting and informative. And dear friends, I was just planning to say that if you think to ask a question or to leave commentary, which I will read during the live stream, or just to support during the live stream, you can use donation alerts or Boosty or PayPal. On Boosty and donation alerts, I can read your message right now. PayPal is operated by my relative, by Magda, by the way, our moderator, and I cannot answer to your question if you will write it on PayPal right now, but I can do it through donation alert and Boosty, and I checked now donation alert. Links are under this video in description box, and I have a question from Beamsy Smith. And donation. Thank you for your donation, first of all. And question is, do you think that Russia will do more investigations in the illegal Tajiks that are in their country, and interesting ways they seem to get residency? Undoubtedly. I believe first of all, Russian government and Russian public figures will do whatever it takes to make sure that situation in society is stable, and there is no confrontation or some negativity among people. That's first of all, and already many high-ranking officials, by the way, made statements about it. How important it is to always keep in mind that terrorists and criminals have no nationality or religion, by the way. They are criminals and terrorists. That's how they should be treated. And this is right message, I believe. And many high-ranking Russian officials already made statements in a similar way to make sure that society united and there is no disturbances or some kind of conflict situations. And also public figures made similar statements. Just before I started, for example, this live stream, one of the military correspondents, well known in Russian military correspondents, write similar message on his Telegram channel, how important it is to make sure that society is united and there is no internal some confrontation. And that's been said, of course, I believe Russian interior ministry and all the state institutions that are responsible on the matter of working migration will increase their control to make sure that I mean, it's easy to say, hard to do in real, because how you know what individual thinks, what he has in his mind when he tries to enter Russia. You cannot read mind of the humans, isn't it? Or mind of the people. Those terrorists, I mean, those terrorists are not humans, but I hope I explained myself. I believe there will be some changes to make sure that people with some that may commit some crimes will not enter Russia. And also, I believe FSB and some other and police will conduct some investigations to find out what schemes some criminal groups are using to do some paperwork for illegal migrants. This is also issue. But first of all, I will say that it is immensely important, in my personal opinion, to make sure that there is no turmoil inside Russia on ethnic or religious or any other very important topic, because as Russian president, by the way, as the Russian president himself said, terrorists and criminals, they have no nationality and religion. They are criminals. That's it. And we cannot allow, that's exactly what West wants, by the way, to create some internal turmoil, and we cannot allow that to happen. But when it comes to more control on the border, that will definitely happen. I have no doubts about it. And I mean, government, of course, has to do everything necessary to make sure that work migrants, and the Russia needs, by the way, work people to came here for work. There is millions of the workplaces right now in Russia, and there are not enough people to take those jobs. I reported many times that unemployment rate is record low in Russia, and migrant workers are doing a very important job, by the way, from Tajikistan, from Uzbekistan, from any other country. They are doing important job. They are participating into society, to economy, and same time they are making some money for living. They're sending money to their families in their own countries. If they are integrated, if they stay enough in Russia, years and years, they may get integrated and then receive Russian citizenship and stay in Russia. But all the way, I believe, as you mentioned in your question, there's supposed to be checks and balances to make sure that Russian residency is given to people that will do no harm to society, let's say this way, and to country. I hope I did answer to your question. And that's been said, let's go through the chat now. I know now are very emotional times, and some people may get very emotional, and of course, leadership of Russia, political leadership, intellectual leadership, they know it, They know how important it is to keep society united, and that's why many statements have been made from politicians, from public figures, that we cannot allow any internal disturbances to take place, and this is absolutely correct approach, I believe. And let's go through some let me update here and also here. And dear friends, I apologize if I will miss your question. I will definitely try to read as many as possible. How many of us on a live stream? I'm interested. 269. Wow, I didn't expect that. Thank you all, dear friends, for your attention, for participating in this stream, for your comments. Thank you all, and of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who will watch this live stream later on in a recording. And well, let's have a chat, informal talk, and questions. Z1TUIT is asking, first of all, hello, good evening, my friends. I know you are in Italy, so it must be evening there in Italy now. So unfortunately I don't know in Italian how should I say good evening, but good evening. Question is, Levan, are there official Tajikistan people saying something about that? Yes, President of Tajikistan, Emomali Rahmonov is his name. Let me check, dear friends, just a sec. I had some notice about it even. So President of Tajikistan definitely made a statement. First of all, he sent his condolences to Russian society, to Russian leadership, to Russia, and he stated, by the way, basically he repeated what Putin said the day before, that terrorists have no nationality and religion. They are just terrorists, and their activity should not lead to confrontation on ethnic or religious basis. And this is, by the way, a statement that I can support 100%, because no way we can allow some bad apple to destroy relationship between the people. It's we cannot do this. We cannot do this, by the way. So, well, unfortunately, I cannot remember name of President of Tajikistan. Is he Emomali Rahmonov or? But I did see today at some point during the day information that President of Tajikistan sent his condolences to Russia, and made statement that, as I just said, that you know, it's very important to make sure that relationships between the people are not harmed by these tragic events that took place a few days ago. Turomir Turomir is asking if someone would want to contact you, how to do that. I have a mail, by the way. Under every video you can see my mail, gudadze.levan, this Sabachka A mail.ru. I mean, you can see it under this video in the description box, my mail, and you can write to me. And Turomir is then asking, is he reading questions today? Yes, I do. That's what I do on every Sunday, by the way. I start my live stream with several news, and then I'm reading chat, and we have just conversation, exchanging opinions in real time. So also a question. Buncher Dent is asking, are certain groups from Chechnya region involved in this attack? No. As far as I know, there was no one from Chechen Republic was involved in this attack. Although, by the way, there are some Chechens that are fighting on behalf of Kiev regime, and those people are in the wanted list in Russia. They are hiding in Europe. They are in wanted list for their terrorist activity in 90s and 2000s, and some of them are now fighting in Ukraine against on behalf of Kiev regime. But when it comes to Chechen Republic and vast majority of Chechen society here in Russia, I mean, they are with Russia. They are, by the way, fighting. You all know Akhmat Special Forces, isn't it? They are fighting as lions, by the way, on the front line. And I believe Chechen fighters were involved during the operation to catch these terrorists in Bryansk region. So that's my answer. Questions. And dear friends, it will be a little easier. It will be a little easier if you will write capital Q or entire question in the capital letters. Oh, I see a question. Nidesh Kumar is asking, does Russia stop giving visa-free entry to Tajikistan after this incident? If so, how will affect Russia's Central Asian countries? Well, I cannot know, I mean, what decision-making process is in Kremlin. But in my personal opinion, I don't think Russia will shut down its border to citizens of Tajikistan. I don't think it will happen. By the way, we should all keep in mind that hundreds of thousands of people from Tajikistan are working here in Russia and working on very important positions and doing great service to economy of the country, to society. And just because some of the people, I mean, few individuals end up being immensely horrible individuals, that not means that Russia should change its relationships with Tajikistan now, and relationships between the people to be destroyed. No, man, no. So therefore, I believe some steps will be taken to make sure that there is more checks. Who is allowed in Russia, and how this process is undergoing, but I don't think Russia will introduce visas for Tajikistan citizens, or Russia will shut down borders. No, man. As Russian president says, and also president of Tajikistan, terrorists have no nationality and have no religion. They are just terrorists, and bad people, extremely bad people, are in any society, anywhere on this planet. You name me country, just you can turn globus, by the way, and put your finger on any country, and you will definitely find bad people there. They are everywhere, by the way, unfortunately. But it don't means that we should destroy relationships with a good majority, good vast majority of those societies. That's my take on this topic, and I believe Russian government will most likely will think the same way. So there will be no border shutdowns and that kind of stuff. No, more control, probably yes, and it is necessary, but I don't think Russia will shut down its border. Questions. And A is asking who conceived ISIS, who has ISIS served, who pays their piper calls, their tune. Yes, I had the very same questions. I mean, all those majority of those terrorist groups that almost everybody knows now, that basically almost destroy Syria and almost destroy Iraq, for example, just in recent past. CIA, by the way, is all over that organizations. CIA is written all over those organizations. And everybody knows this. I mean, it's like open secret when everyone knows it, and for whatever reason, this elites are pretending that they have no idea. You know, Froch Flanagan is asking, will the suspect be severely punished? Here there is a catch and release system for criminals. Oh, they're not gonna be released. That's for sure. They're not gonna be released ever. Most likely they will end up in most severe prison that there is in Russia, and for life, of course. And then I mean, prison is prison. Some inmates may take them out because of crimes that they committed. They were killing children, they were killing women. You know, they're gonna go to hell, by the way. They will be in hell while they are on this planet and in this life, and after this life they will still go to hell. That's what's gonna happen to them. I don't know about other countries, how they treat terrorists, but in Russia, treatment will be as they deserve it, let's say this way. And they're definitely not gonna be released ever. That's for sure. Many people are surprised, by the way, if you read comments in Russian, many people are surprised that Russian fighters who was involved in catching all those terrorists had nerves not to take them straight away, not to exterminate them right on the spot. But they had the order to take them alive, and that's why they are still alive. But you can imagine emotional state of those soldiers who knew what these criminals committed just several hours ago. You know, they really had iron nerves. Otherwise, by the way, those terrorists would be already killed for sure on the spot. Questions. Yes, Z12IT is commenting that Ukrainian Su-24s have to be targeted with a high priority, undoubtedly, 100%. And I believe Russian forces are trying, whenever they are catching them, on some spot, because they are constantly moving, isn't it? They are using several airfields just for refuel, and I believe their final base is somewhere in the forestry. They are using roads, ordinary roads, maybe even without asphalt on the road, because these Soviet airplanes are capable of takeoff even from fields. They just need some straight line and they can take off. And that's why it's little difficult, not little, but it is significantly difficult to destroy all of them like at once. But I believe for Russian forces it is priority to neutralize air force of Kiev regime. And dear friends, many of you probably already know that during the previous night missile strikes, one of the airfields that was targeted in western Ukraine, in Lvov region, was prepared, according to some reports that we are receiving, was prepared to receive US-made F-16 fighter bombers, and that airfield was totally destroyed. One may say, because it was not just cruise missiles that were targeting and drones, ground drones, but also just to make sure that task is done 100%. Russian forces used also Kinzhal missiles to destroy that airfield. So it is, I mean, for Russian side, destruction of air force of Kiev regime is definitely a priority. So questions. Oh, let me check. Oh, question, by the way. Ruski Brat is asking on donation alerts. Вместе мы сила. Ukronazis must be obliterated, and all responsible for Crocus. I agree 100%, undoubtedly. I agree 100%. Спасибо, Ruski Brat, за поддержку. Agree on 100%. And let me also check here. And it's 255 of us right now, by the way. And thank you all once again. Thank you all for your attention. Hopefully you will find this conversation interesting. So let's continue with the chat. So question, Red Baron is asking. Oh, Red Baron. There was a Red Baron nickname of one of the German fighter pilots during the First World War, I believe. It was a famous pilot, if I'm not mistaken. How big do you think the Ukrainian army is now, as they lost a lot of men, 300,000 or 400,000 left, maybe without any further mobilization? Under arms. When it comes to Ukrainian army, probably 400,000 to 500,000. But when it comes to how many people are under arms in Ukraine, probably around a million, maybe even more, because we should keep in mind that in the beginning of special military operation, Kiev regime started giving weapons to almost everybody, and these local so-called defense forces were created, and some of those groups maybe was dissolved after time, but many of them probably are still remaining in their places. So under arms, I believe Kiev regime may have about 1 million people, but when it comes to armed forces itself, I cannot know for sure, of course, but my guess is 400,000 to 500,000, probably. Although big question is how many of them are professional soldiers, how many of them are really battle capable, and that's a whole different story. In my opinion, Ukraine may have like 5 to 10 maximum, by the way, 5 or 10 battle ready, really battle ready, battle capable brigades left, and that's it. The rest of them are forcefully mobilized, poorly trained, poorly equipped military personnel that is sent to the zero line as a sacrifice to gain some more time for Zelensky and his criminal masters in the West. That's it. So I believe 5 to 10 battle-ready brigades, and the rest of them are just manpower with poor training and readiness. And probably many of you noticed that after Avdiivka, things really change on the line of contact, and Ukrainian forces, whenever Russian side is increasing pressure, we can clearly see that Ukrainian defense lines are cracking and collapsing. But because they still have a significant number of manpower, I cannot know for sure, but in my opinion, it's 400,000 to 500,000 and another 500,000 under arms, under different institutions, because there is still significant number of manpower, including in armed forces. Of course, Russian side will continue this active defense strategy, use this active defense strategy on the current line of contact with minor changes, with some minor changes. For example, by the way, I'm quite sure if Ukrainian defense lines didn't crack on Toninka, Orlovka, Berdichi line, I think Russian forces will continue to maintain positions on that line and will try to neutralize more and more Ukrainian units on Toninka, Orlovka, Berdichi line. But because Ukrainian armed forces collapsed in that area, Russian side is now forced to move forward, which means that the line of contact will also move westwards, and whatever another settlements end up on the line of contact will also be obliterated, as Orlovka and, for example, Toninka or any other settlement that end up being on the line of contact. And this is big issue for Russian side because, of course, it's Russian society that will rebuild everything that is destroyed. And therefore it does make all the sense from Russian point of view to demilitarize Kiev regime forces on more or less similar line of contact with some necessary changes, yes, but with more or less same line of contact, so that when Ukrainian armed forces will finally collapse and Russian side will begin decisive large-scale military operations, there will be minimal casualties, minimal resistance, and so minimal casualties among manpower, among civilians and manpower, and of course minimal damage on the ground. I hope I did explain what I was trying to say. Questions? And dear friends, sorry if I miss your question. Jerry Kogan. Jerry, sorry that I was saying Gary, by the way. Sorry for that. Jerry and Z12IT are commenting. It's good that not MI president. It is good, by the way. Of course, it is good. Everyone should do what he is good at. I am not a politician. I'm not a public figure. I don't want to have anything with that spheres. I'm quite comfortable doing, my job. In this particular case, I'm trying to create some informative content. When I was working in Leroy Merlin, I was trying to do my job in Leroy Merlin as best I could, and I was doing it quite okay, according to statistics numbers, by the way. In my younger age, when I was living in Georgia and I was working as a journalist, I was trying to do my job as best I could. But when it comes to that emotional ranked episode, when I was talking about Serbia, by the way, it's very painful what happened to Serbia. It is very painful. I mean, when I say that, I mean, Serbians are our brothers, I definitely mean it. And when your brother needs your help, you have to help your brother, isn't it? And we were unable to help Serbia, and this is painful. And what happened to Serbia, what happened to Yugoslavia is painful. And by the way, Yugoslavia was disintegrated because of the Western involvement, isn't it? They most likely, if no outside involvement, there would be no civil war inside Yugoslavia between Serbia and Croatia, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. At some point, even in Macedonia, there were some disturbances. It was tragedy, by the way. And then Kosovo happened. And Kosovo is for Serbia, it's like hard, by the way. It's like hard, historically speaking. And NATO basically forced Serbia to permanently lose control over this territory, which is a tragedy for Serbian people. And I will say tragedy for Orthodox world. That's how I will say. So, and I don't want to go in deep into history, by the way, but I mean, I'm just being real here, you know. I feel sorry for Serbia, man. Same feeling as I have about Greeks, by the way. As Serbians, I see Greeks as brothers. You know, and many others. I mean, it's and of course I agree with you. It's good that not my decision maker, by the way, because I'm a Southerner, and us Southerners are quite emotional. Well, last Southerner who was in power in Moscow, we all know who was that, isn't it? It was Stalin, Georgian Ossetian, and I am Georgian Ossetian, so you know, it might be a little scary even for me, just to think about what will happen if me or someone like me will, end up being in charge, man. It's scary stuff. But okay, let's get serious now. Let's get serious. Thanks God I'm an ordinary person, and you know. And by the way, I mean, one should say that if I was president of Russian Federation at the time, instead of Yeltsin, I don't think NATO will dare to attack Serbia. That's what I will say. So there will be no nuclear exchange. NATO will never attack Serbia in the first place, because they will know that, you know what, this guy, he gonna nuke us. So they will never ever attack Serbia, and therefore there would be no conflict. You know. Sometimes maybe it's necessary to let your opponent know what you're gonna do if one more step is made by your enemy. What you exactly gonna do, I mean. And when everything is clear, and in that circumstances, it is, you know, Radmila Mijanic is commenting, no, the first victim of NATO bombing was a 19-year-old soldier in Danilovgrad, today's Montenegro, part of the Yugoslavia at the time. Yes, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I still would understand why Montenegro and Serbia, why they split. I mean, they are brothers, for God's sake. I mean, literally brothers. And but yet again, it's I'm not expert in history of Serbia and Chernogoria relationships, and I don't know what happened with Yugoslavia. Is a tragedy, by the way, for all people, for all people involved, man. It's, you know. Saturn is asking, why does not Russian Federation take a stronger stance against Israel, as was the case with the USSR during the Cold War? I mean, Russia is quite direct when it comes to this conflict, this tragedy in the Middle East, this conflict between Israel and Palestine. Russia condemned actions of Hamas on 7th of October, as every other country, I believe, majority of countries at least. At the same time, Russia was calling, when Israel started its military operation, Russia was calling for civilians to be protected, not targeted, and now Russia is openly calling for ceasefire. For quite a while now, Russia is calling for ceasefire and negotiations to begin, and I guess this is the right approach. What else can Moscow do at this situation? During the 20th century, there was different situations. Then, for example, Egypt was a strategic partner of Soviet Union. And by the way, when it comes to Israel, one should always keep in mind that Israel as a state was created because Soviet Union was agreeing on that. Maybe Soviet Union even played a bigger role in creation of Israel than some Western countries that are now claiming to be best friends of Israel. That's historically speaking. Then 20th century, there was different times, different relationships between, let's say, Egypt and the Soviet Union. Yes, Syria then had a good relationships with Soviet Union and now has good relationships, but Syria is in very difficult situation, isn't it? Lebanon, also a little bit different story. Moscow is not as presented in the Middle East right now as it used to be during the Soviet era. And then at the time it was a Cold War, isn't it? It was confrontation between the Soviet Union and the collective West, and Middle East was one of the battlegrounds. And I don't think Russia sees Middle East right now as a kind of battleground with US or with the collective West, no. And therefore Russia's presence in the Middle East gonna be as positive as possible, not destructive in any ways. And therefore Russian position is quite understandable, in my opinion, that Russia is calling for a peace. And by the way, also Russia and Israel, after Soviet Union collapsed, Russia and Israel established quite good working relationships. At some point, Putin and Netanyahu had a like friendly kind of relationships. Elites of the two countries have a good relationships. It also does play some role, I believe. But in general, when it comes to state policies, Russian policy is quite clear. Russia is calling for peace talks between the sides. And I believe Russia is in favor of two-state solution to be implemented as it was decided in the UN. You know, questions. Grim44 is asking, did people in Russia pay attention to the US embassy warning on the 7th of March? Media did pay attention to this warning. Media did. I reported about it. and some people definitely pay attention, but I mean, not on your daily life. You are not checking web page of U.S. embassy, isn't it? You just don't care about it, and therefore, whoever read in Russian media outlets about this warning from U.S., they read, and I believe, by the way, whoever read this warning from U.S. embassy, it was warning also from UK's embassy, by the way, and several other Western embassies. I believe majority of people probably get very skeptical, and probably many people, they think that, you know what, these guys are planning something. I guess many people did think about exactly that U.S. secret services, Western secret services are planning something. And unfortunately, a few days ago, this horrible attack, terrorist attack, happened in the Crocus City Hall. Did U.S. had any connection with this horrible attack? Indirectly, most likely, yes. Because if Kiev regime was behind this terrorist attack, then of course US is involved, because US is a major supporter of Kiev regime. But as I said during one of the previous updates, if US secret services, if CIA was not involved in organization of this terrorist attack, if Budanov, if Ukraine's how it called, the military intelligence or main intelligence directorate of defense ministry did not inform CIA about their plans to conduct this terrorist attack, then I think days of Budanov are numbered. Most likely CIA will get rid of him as an extremely dangerous asset. So let's see. I mean, in next couple of weeks, I don't think CIA will get rid of Budanov right now, because it will become too obvious that Kiev was behind this attack. But after some time, under whatever pretext, but if CIA was not involved, most likely they will get rid of Budanov, because that terrorist, that criminal mass murderer is extremely dangerous even for US, because he's a sick individual, and who knows what he may conduct, and what we may see in the future from him. So most likely CIA will get rid of him. James Silver, thank you very much for your support. Let me check here. Anonym, thank you for donation. No comments, no nothing, just a $5 donation. Thank you very much. And let me check Boosty. So how many of us right now? 239. Thank you all, dear friends. I'm a little surprised, really. Hopefully you find our conversation interesting. And well, let's continue with the chat. It's already 1.5 hours almost, this live stream, and if I may, I will answer several more questions, and I will end this stream then. So I lost question, by the way. I was reading now. How? Does YouTube delates questions also? Because there, of course, YouTube does, by the way. Of course, YouTube does. Probably from live chat also. Because I was just reading question and then it disappeared. Uh, uh, Nidesh Kumar is asking about books there. Oh, there's so many books, by the way. This is, for example, I received as a gift on my birthday. This is Isaac Asimov Academy. Asimov is, of course, one of the major science fiction writers. I mean, big name, of course, in science fiction. And I am into science fiction. If you ask me what I read in my life, 70% probably whatever I read in my 46 years probably were something documentary, scientific, or something like that. But when it comes to художественная литература, when it comes to literature, not professional, not scientific, but ordinary literature, well, I have preferences, and I definitely like to read more about history. Undoubtedly, I like history, and also science fictions. That's why probably I love to watch science fiction movies since young years. Science is great, by the way. So what can I say? And I mean, it will take long. It will take a long time to go through those books. There's some my books, my kids' books, my wife's books. You know, not that many really. I mean, we are renting this flat, and we cannot really have much with us, because when you move, you have to take with you what you have, and therefore we are trying to buy what is really necessary, and books definitely are one of the necessary items. Okay, let's go through questions. Once again, sorry dear friends if I miss your question. Most likely I did. Is there any influence from the old Khazarian Empire? So you came to see, that's a historical question. Interesting one. And well, when it comes to Khazaria, by the way, it was interesting phenomenon, isn't it? It was interesting phenomenon. Jewish kingdom. Although, by the way, elites of Khazaria were Jews, according to some history books, some legends also. Not all people that were living in that Khazaria kingdom. And when it comes to, I mean, where that country went, it was assimilated. That's it. It was just get assimilated. And that's it, really. I cannot go in some conspiracy stuff, because if you go into conspiracy, you need to know much more than I know about topic. I don't really know much, just some basics, and therefore this is not a topic that I am strong on. So, but as a phenomenon, by the way, it was interesting, isn't it? That in modern, almost southern central Russia, there was a huge Khazarian kingdom at the time, elites of which were Jews, and as far as I know, elites of Khazaria become Jews because they had two options. They had to become Christians, Orthodox Christians, or Christians in general, or they have to take Islam. And you know, for whatever reason, they made decision to, you know, choose Judaism as a religion. And the elites of Khazaria were Jews since then. Any more questions? Yes, Heimo Molonen is commenting about Asimov. I mean, he's one of the greatest minds when it comes to science fiction, by the way. And science fiction authors in science fiction, they really are. They have some spectacular mind, because to imagine all that immense worlds, by the way, in detail, in quite a detail, you have to have some extraordinary brains, by the way, that's for sure, and education also. I mean, without education, without knowledge in fundamental science, there is no way you're gonna create some really good story in science fiction. So all the big science fiction authors are great. Ourcraft is asking, talk about Fomenko, Tartaria, new chronology. That's history stuff, by the way, and it's historian. These questions are to historians. I have no idea. I don't really know much about Tartaria at all. I mean, nothing. I love history. I love specific times in history, but I'm not historian. And therefore, of course, there is some topics that you need definitely historian to have a professional, good answer. And Controlled Demolition is asking, have you made a trip to Siberian forest? Is it an expensive vacation? Expensive, I mean, it depends for whom. For me, probably yes, but for some others, not really. I never been in Siberia, by the way. I've never been in Siberia, but who knows? Maybe one day. There are wonderful cities there, wonderful nature. And by the way, when it comes to Russia, Russia is so huge that there is, I mean, you can see almost everything here, from mountains of Caucasus to volcanoes of Kamchatka, from volcanoes of Kamchatka, active volcanoes, by the way, and also, of course, permafrost areas and tundra and forestry, when you can see no end of forest in Siberia, for example. So Russia is a huge and wonderful country, and I believe Russia has huge potential to become one of the major tourist destinations in this world. More infrastructure is needed, definitely, and more people will travel inside and also from outside. What is your favorite science fiction movie or show? Oh. That's when it comes to TV shows, there are also quite a number of shows, isn't it? It's a big topic, by the way. It's a big topic, but I believe Battlestar Galactica was a great TV show. Great. And when it comes to movie, for June, by the way, for example, these last first and second ekranizations. Also, by the way, when it comes to science fiction, Asimov's stories is in TV series. How it called in it's a Netflix's show or something like that. If you are in US, you can definitely see that show right now. There was 2 seasons, I believe. I saw some series, and must be a great show. And when it comes to movies, June, yes, June. Why not? June is also a huge universe, extremely complicated story. And what we see in this first 2 series of June is it's not even drop compared to timeline that there is in the book series. So if Hollywood wants, they can create another, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 additional movies on this topic, and there still will be plenty more to do. But anyway, I guess it's time to end this this live stream. So yes, dear friends, sorry if I missed your question. Thank you all for participating in this live stream, and of course many thanks to all the members of our community who will watch this update later on. And if I may, I will end this stream right now. Thank you all, dear friends. Thank you all. And bye for now.